Stay connected. Make sure you hit the subscribe button.
Public hearing on local law rescinding local law number 8 of 2021 and adopting a new local law relating to authorizing zoning change from R1, R2 to GB2 for tax map parcel number 87.53-03-16.200. Is there anybody here to speak to this public hearing? Can't hear. Okay. This is regarding the public hearing of the local law rescinding local law number 8 of 2021. Roy, can you hear me back there okay? No. No, can't hear. Fans. I just turned them on. That help? He's back. Let's see that. Again, this is second call for public hearing on local law rescinding local law number 8 of 2021, adopting a new local law relating to authorizing zoning change from GB2 for the tax parcel number 87.53-03-16.200. Anybody else? Motion to close the public hearing. Mr. Carpenter, second Mr. Beckwith, all those in favor? Aye. Okay, roll call, please. Councilmember Scott. Present. Councilmember Sullivan.
Present.
Councilmember Pinello.
Present.
Councilmember Lane.
Present.
Councilmember Thompson. Present. Councilmember Carpenter. Present. Councilmember Beckwith. Present. Councilmember Michaels. Present. If everybody's able, they can rise for the salute of flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I'd like to take a moment of silence and reflection for our Ukrainian families that are here in the U.S. and their extended families in the Ukraine. And let's think about their needs. Thank you. With that said, on a proclamation and presentations, we have a police reaccreditation, and I particularly think if Chief Sandy can come up and speak to that. Deputy Chief Guerrero, Sergeant Guerrero was very important to implementing this plan and making this happen. This reaccreditation, it's not easy to get, and I'll let Chief Sandy and Deputy Chief speak to that.
Thank you. Back under Chief Nichols, accreditation was started, and due to the intensive labor to do this, it never was achieved. And other things came up that kind of sidetracked us. In 2010, we started reaccreditation under Chief Catalano. In 2016, that's how long it took, we became accredited for the first time. Accreditation is extremely hard to get, and only very few agencies across the state get it. It is even harder to get reaccredited every 5 years because the process intensifies. In 2021, when I became chief, we had a number of months, 10 months to get reaccredited, and we found out that we were way behind schedule. Several things that have come up over the years, including COVID, our retirement of one of our records people. So our accreditation in Herrera was extremely overloaded. The command staff and the the members of the department realized how important this was, and we pushed forward, and thanks to the help of the council and hiring an outside consultant to help us, and a 3-month extension by the accreditation committee, we received our evaluation, 3-day evaluation. 3 different accreditation assessors came from 3 different agencies, and they reviewed all of our policies. They spoke to our officers. They interviewed command staff on policies, practices, and procedures. At the end of 3 days, they praised Sergeant Guerrero for her hard work and diligence and how easy she made their job. They commended our department on our policies and procedures and how everything is in place, and they were going to recommend us to be reaccredited. On March 10th, the Deputy Chief and I went to Albany to the New York State Accreditation Committee, and were unanimously voted to receive our reaccreditation. On that day, there was 4 people getting reaccredited and 1 getting accredited. So that shows you how hard this is to get, and that's from across the state.
It's a lot of hard work, and it is, and it's not just Sergeant Guerrero, but it was a team effort among everybody. And it took more than 5 years to get reaccredited. It's not as easy to get accredited as we found out. They keep you to a high standard for special. And we are very proud of the accomplishment. And we continue to strive to be accredited, for the rest of our careers and into the future. It's a lot to be said about the department.
It also helps for liability-wise with the city also, that they follow policies and procedures that protects the city with those issues or anything they have. So we're credited, it protects us.
Paul, do you have any, just, I don't hold you to the numbers, but percentage of all of the police, departments across the state, 17, that's it?
17%.
On 17. So that's a pretty low number.
Several years ago, when the DC and I were at an FBI conference, we were talking to some accreditation people because we knew reaccreditation would be coming up, and we asked them how many people get reaccredited, and they said far fewer get reaccredited because the intensity and what you go through is that much higher.
And that just should be said right there that you just don't give these things away, that you guys have to work for them.
The citizens are well protected by their police.
We totally understand it, but that's, you guys should be proud of it. So congratulations.
We are. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Appreciate it.
Sergeant Guerrero also got a plaque, which we'll make sure she gets that tomorrow. Make sure we make that presentation. Next, we have privilege of the floor. So I know that there's some people that are signed up, and I know many of you are here as retirees and concerned with the second resolution. I appreciate you coming, and I'm glad to have an opportunity to talk in front of everybody about that resolution, which will be pulled tonight. So we will pull that. I'm going to pull that resolution in hopes that we'll have time to make sure that everybody's properly educated and understanding what this is. There's been some misnomers been sent out through Facebook and emails and videos of how this is not necessarily the best program for everybody. Certainly, I wouldn't promote something like that, and certainly would not want that to happen to anybody. We owe that to everybody. What has been presented is a plan that is better than what you currently have. It currently saves payments that you would have made from deductibles, etc. They would go away, so there's definitely cost savings to all the retirees. And just as important to taxpayers that live in the city, it's about $1.5 million savings for us if everybody lives. Now, again, money isn't everything, so I'm not going to run in this position, and none of us are going to run this position and trying to take away from our hardworking current employees or the hardworking retirees, which you are. So by any means, this is not that case. I implore you to give it a chance, to give it some educational points, make sure you understand it. I know some of you have addressed, and maybe you're not here, but some of you have addressed the Office of the Aging and brought those plans to the Office of the Aging. And I know that they told you that this is a better plan than what you have and what it is. Yesterday I met with the CSCA union, and CSCA members were wrong several years ago in their deductibles. Whether it was, I don't know the history behind it, but they were not taken care of on their deductibles, so they are currently, as of now, these retirees are submitting their deductibles to us quarterly, and we're paying them back, reimbursing them for their deductibles. So in hindsight, to try to fix that, part of the negotiations that I put forth here with the company was to create a plan just for them, so they don't have to do that anymore. They simply show their card and the deductibles are the proper way they're supposed to be. So that is also fixed in this design. This is a win-win for everybody. I know insurance becomes very complicated and concerning, and I get it 100%. This is an attempt to get it out there and to get everybody educated on it. I did not receive any phone calls, but I know my colleagues have received numerous phone calls, but I would like to, the CSCA currently has it. They're reviewing it from their professional staff, and they assured me that if it is what we say it is, they will stand up in front of here and endorse it with their CSCA employees. In the past, that the SEIU has adopted what they have said as well. So at that point, when they do their independent research, I get the written research back from the Office of the Aging to share with all the retirees as well as the unions. I will make sure that everybody's rest assured that they're going to be done. Some of the concerns that the Office of the Aging said that they couldn't address was concerns that what is the future mayor going to do? What's the future council going to do? Well, that is uncertain. That I can't assert, but I can assert that this is a better plan than what you currently have now, and it will be beneficial to us, to all the taxpayers, us as taxpayers in the city of Cortland, and to the retirees. So I wouldn't promote that and do that, but it's very important that, and also I also want to note that you have the right to opt out. This is nothing mandatory. You can opt out. But I don't want you to opt out without reviewing it, because I think you can see the benefits I wouldn't present it. So I'm asking you to take the time to understand it, to do it. So this is the first step in making everybody aware of it. Now the next step will be an educational process that I hope to have everybody send an email through, so they have your contact information. We'll get back through the consortium of what we have for contacts, make sure everybody's educated, put together the time to do that. Typically, we would get a contract done, and that's part of their responsibility, but recognizing the concern that everybody has, we don't want to dismiss that, don't want to ignore that. So we will pull that resolution, and definitely helps to make it happen again in the future.
Mayor Steve, might you have a Zoom meeting where people could do question and answers?
That would be available as well. We'll put that together. So we'll make it, as we do, we'll try to make it available for people in Florida, because this is not going to impact them. They'll still have the benefits and use of it. There's much misinformation that's gone out there about this, and I don't feel like responding to Facebook and going through all that. So I feel it professional to maintain what we have and give you the honest answers and the direct answers, and use the Office of the Aging, which is what they're there for, is to protect our people of our county and do what's best for them. So we will present it to them, and they have no interest. You are going to find that there's other municipalities, because this is really what it is. It is a benefit to everybody, and it is what it is. And you're going to find many people, many municipalities going to this, and other businesses, agencies. Cornell has done it. There's other municipalities that will do it and follow through with it. And as county taxpayers, encouraging them to do the same, which I'm estimating about $5 million there. So we really need to look at this and just look at it objectively with an open mind. That's all I can ask. So with that, I'll open up the public comments, but I just want to clarify that most. So if you had public comments on that, you will have another opportunity. You will have that ability. We will not take that away from you. I make myself fully accessible in every way I can, one-on-one. There's 100 people that are affected by this. It's 40 individuals and 58 families, so just under that. And it's $1.457 million in the city savings, let alone all the deductibles. So with that, yes.
We talked earlier, we're going to hopefully have a workshop somewhere that the people that can come, we'll have people there to present the thing so you all understand. I'll be the first one wanting this shot down right now because I don't understand it. I'm not going to vote for something that I don't understand. So we all got a lot of education to have here. So believe me, we all understand, and that's where we're headed.
Only copy half.
I think it's handled correctly. It's pulling off the agenda. We'll educate you people, and then we'll go from there. So, but he just mentioned you have the right to opt out. So.
Okay, so with that said, back to the meeting, the privilege of the floor. I'm going to get your name wrong, Rick. Rick Mcmullen, is that it? I'm sorry, I couldn't read it. Looked like Z. Sorry, Rick. I didn't read it.
So I appreciate the opportunity to speak. My name is Richard Mcmullen. I'm a retired detective lieutenant from the city police. I served in that capacity for 21 and a half years with the police department, retiring in 2000. When I retired, I received a contractually guaranteed benefit of paid-up health insurance for life. That was as a result of my non-use of accrued sick time over the life of my 21 and a half year career. When I retired, I opted for the family plan, and the contract also guaranteed the insurance would be maintained by the city at a level that would be as good or better than the benefits I received at the time of retirement. I understand the council is considering changing the plan to an Advantage Plus plan for those of us who receive Medicare, me being one of them. Everything I read about the Advantage Plus plan does not actually work out to the positive for the retiree. The research that I've done has many parts of the Advantage plan that are undesirable for myself and my family and would not actually work out to the benefit and it would not be as good or better as what we were guaranteed at the time of our retirement. I want to stress the fact that this benefit was not a benefit that was given to me by the city. This was a benefit that was earned by me after over many years of accrued sick time, 2,714 hours at the time of my retirement that I had on the books as a result of not using sick time for all those years. I appreciate the fact that you pulled it off the agenda tonight, Mr. Mayor. I think that we're putting a cart in front of the horse by doing it in this fashion, making a resolution. I did not see any opt-out language in that resolution that was made. It looked to me like it was being voted on, and it passed. That would be the law. I, for one, object to that, and many retirees that I've been in contact with do as well. You mentioned Facebook and some of the comments that were being made. Understand that our retirees are spread out all over the country, and we communicate very much through Facebook because it's easy. So comments, be they positive or negative, nothing was directed at anybody in particular. It's just discussion for the benefit of our group and to find out what's going on and keep everybody informed. I appreciate you taking the time to consider the emails that I sent to everybody. I hope you all got them and read them. And this is basically what I'm reading from now. And I know that there's others in the group that would like to speak as well. And I appreciate your time. Thank you.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Thank you. Chief Nichols.
I'm here. My name is Jim Nichols. I worked for the City of Cortland Police Department for 40 years and 6 days. I started on the bottom, rose to the position of Chief of Police that I served in roughly 13 years. I've been retired 13 years. Preparing to retire after such a long time in this building certainly brought great angst to my life. Wasn't sure quite what to do, but one of the things I did not have to contemplate that I would not have quality health insurance that I had enjoyed for 40 years. The younger people probably don't know this, but a lot of reasons that us older folks joined the civil service ranks of a community back in the day because we were guaranteed health insurance and a pension. The salaries were nothing to brag about. I'm here tonight to talk to you. I actually represent two of our retired members. They're dealing with very serious health problems. And they've asked me to just, it's going to take a minute, to read what they wrote to me. This particular officer, Mcmullen, served the city with honor, retired at the appropriate time, diligently worked for us, did an outstanding job, and saved his sick time. In fact, I believe the last 2 years he never took vacation to build up his sick time, because under the program we had to accumulate a certain number of days to have paid up health. In my case, I needed to accumulate 300 days in order to have paid up health, which meant the city would pay the maximum and I would pay the percentage that I retired at. So that's what we're talking about here. The individuals within the city of Cortland that gave up time off, maybe took a holiday instead of calling in sick, to build up that sick time. When you think about it, you multiply these 100 people that we're talking about that are under Medicare that had to have between 250 and 300 sick days. Think of that number. How many days were saved by city employees in the city of Cortland because these people diligently came to work. They did not abuse the benefit. And when we retired, we were guaranteed we would keep this tremendous benefit. Bear with me. I'd like to read what Emmett Lane's wife, Karen, wrote about their situation. My husband has been sick for quite a long time. We went to many doctors and had much testing done by various people in the state of Florida as well as New York. Whenever we went to a new doctor, they asked for our insurance. We had never once been told we were out of network or we had to see someone else. Finally, last February, the diagnosis was ALS, Lou Gehrig's disease, Timmy Green's disease. There's no cure for this. Many procedures and medicines later, my husband is finally, as I said, he was diagnosed in February. Many procedures and medicines later, my husband is living out the best that he can. The one constant and the one thing we didn't have to worry about was our health care. We brought long-term care to protect our assets, and we have the best secondary medical coverage paid through the rest of our lives. Emmett took only one vacation in the last several years of his retirement to make sure his accruals were where they needed to be in order to receive this lifelong benefit for himself and me. He was always a dedicated employee and didn't miss much time anyway. We would be Yes. If we have to have our benefits reduced in any way. I am so thankful for having medical coverage as I am witnessing the hardships of my friends who are entangled with having to make decisions about medical necessity based on their insurance coverage. It is an absolute nightmare. Equal to or better is the term in the contract, and this plan is not that. That's based upon what they were reading on the internet. Please consider all the dedication of your past employees, Emmett Lane being one of them. There's also a message I have here from another police officer, Kathy Barnes. She retired several years ago as a detective sergeant. She has been battling cancer for some time now. She's had to travel to upstate, back and forth to Rochester. Right now she's in upstate dealing with a bypass on her leg. Recently, she was flown to Rochester because of medication caused heart problems. Again, our insurance saves the day. Personally, a few years ago, I was diagnosed with a pituitary tumor. It took a year and a half to figure out what was wrong. Throughout that process, my insurance covered multiple CAT scans, MRIs, colonoscopies, you name it, I had it. Finally, it was diagnosed as a tumor on the pituitary, back and forth to Rochester, where eventually they did operate and remove the tumor. That's why I'm standing here today. Again, I never had to worry about my insurance. And that's what this is all about. The guarantees made in this room over my 40 years that we would protect not only all our city workers with quality insurance, but those individuals that stick it out and retire from this city, that they would have insurance the rest of their lives. I appreciate the time here tonight. I look forward to hearing about this suggestion you've offered. Thank you.
Connie Sorrells.
I'd like to introduce myself to those of you that are new, because I wear many hats. So first of all, most importantly, I am a taxpayer. Second of all, I am president of the SEIU local chapter here for our city. And last, but certainly not least, I am a devoted, loyal employee. And unlike these individuals, I haven't had the privilege of retirement yet. I want to. And this very much affects whether or not I'm going to have the ability to do so. Because if I can't have the insurance that I've just spent 21 years never taking a sick day to be able to afford the privilege of having this health insurance, I'm dying in that chair down on the second floor because I've got no choice. So, it was really upsetting to me. It's not that I didn't have conversations, because we did have conversations. Nothing was decided. Nothing was mentioned that we were in agreement to it or anything, other than that we knew the mayor was putting this out for us to look at. And you'd be silly not to look at everything. But I'm saying the most important part to me is I want the option to say yes or no. And if I say no, I want to know that I'm going to have the insurance that I now have, that I earned by 21 years of never taking a sick day. It's important to me. It matters, as it does to everybody here. And that's all anybody's asking is, the mayor's asking us to be open-minded. This isn't the first time. This is like the third time we've been asked to look at these plans. My concern is, I can't watch TV at night, that there's not 10 ads a day in an hour's time about Medicare Advantage plan. They're spending millions of dollars, and there's a reason for that. It makes me very, very skeptical. But I'm willing to find out. I'm willing to look at it. But you have to understand we need a choice. And we need a big choice. And it needs to be a free and open choice. Idea at all of any plans when that position was vacated. But we also lost our person to go to if there were problems. Now we have just one place to go. And it's not wise to do that. It's not good business practice to do that. You can't have one sole individual making all of the decisions. It's not smart. So, in case you think nobody's wondering about it, I'm just saying I'm wondering about it. And not that the mayor isn't doing a wonderful job, you know, he's there morning, noon, and night. I'm not suggesting that. I'm simply saying we were understaffed to begin with, and it's not getting any better. So I appreciate you listening to me, and most importantly, hopefully to give us a choice. Thank you.
Thank you. Kim Fairchild?
I thank you for the opportunity to address you tonight. I'm saying taking the oath tonight. I raised her hand on her chest for taking the oath, and this was justice for all. And it's not justice for all, this plan. My wife is not 65, she's not on Medicare, so she would not be covered by this program. She'd be off insurance because she has MS, very sick. So you got to consider that. It's an individual plan, it's not a family plan. So people have young spouses, even kids, they're not covered any longer. And also this is out of network. Well, I'm representing the paid firefighters who are retired. And most of my people live in Florida, Virginia, Tennessee, North Carolina. They're out of network. So if they get sick, they're in big trouble. They have to come back to this network, this program's on there, to be covered. They'll cover them on their emergency if they have appendicitis, but if they need a routine procedure, they can't get it in Florida or North Carolina. And back years ago, I'm pretty old, back years ago, there was a center program that the city made with the paid firefighters. There's a lot of use of sick time and vacation time that's causing overtime for the city. That they're understaffed. So we sat down in the city, and there's a center program, we give back our paid vacation, our sick time, to be on your policy. It's not free, we paid for this. I turned in 250 hours of time, times 10 hours that I could have sold back to you. I wanted to be on this insurance policy. So that's what I chose. I could have took the time off, I didn't take the time off. I didn't call in sick or sniffle. I gave this back to you. And it was a win-win deal for the city and for us. And I don't know what the finance director was, but it was a model program for everybody. In fact, it's going around other cities. So please don't hurt us with this. Let us need to opt out, make it an option if anything. If it works for somebody, let them do it. But it doesn't work for my family. My wife should be uncovered. And I'm sure that other people have the same problem here. So thank you.
Thank you. Thanks, Kim. Yes. So again, appreciate everybody's, yes. Sure.
My name is Dexter. I'm a former employee of the Cortland Water Board, which was an arm of the city of Cortland. I was a meter reader for my main job. As both Mr. Mcmullen and Mr. Nichols said, I had to build up 325 sick days in order to get full benefits, which I'm still getting today. I was the only meter reader in the city of Cortland for 25 years. And I can tell you during that time, there were days when I probably didn't want to go to work. But I went to work, also knowing that if I built up that sick time, it would benefit me in the long run. So for those 25 years that I was reading meters by myself, I was out there on the street reading meters for the city of Cortland. And I certainly agree with what most Mcmullen and Nichols said, was building up the sick time. There were days when you wanted to take a day, but you didn't because you knew that it was going to benefit you in the long run. I just think that you should look at this very closely before you make any decisions, that you don't harm anybody who built up this sick time over that period of time in order to get the benefits that we got. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anybody in our Zoom participation? Okay, again, I'll reiterate just one more time and then we'll move on here. I appreciate everybody's input. Certainly more than you could say. The TV ads are not accurate. They don't cover, this isn't what we're talking about. It's not even close to the same plan. What you've seen on the internet isn't always true. unbeknownst to most, but it is that you do have the choice. Obviously, network is covered everywhere in the United States, so that's not an issue. Again, that will be all done in this educational piece. I ask you, again, we have a fiduciary responsibility up here, and just as we respect the retirees, we respect the current. And our insurance costs have and will continue to escalate based on everything else that's going on in the world. And if there's an opportunity for us to save $1.5 million, and I guarantee you that you'll get what you have and better, and we will not leave, Mr. Fairchild behind as far as their, benefits of their spouse is covered. That's covered. They're still in there. They still maintain. If they're under 65, they still stay in the current plan. But anybody over 65 would roll into this, so it's all covered. It's all planned out. Give it some time. Give it an opportunity. That's what I ask. I appreciate your inputs. I hope you give it some time to appreciate the inputs of the benefit behind this that would be for everybody. So we'll take the time to let CACA get the response back. We'll make that public. We'll get back Office of the Aging's response, make that public. And then we'll also sit down with everybody individually if we have to, and 99 times, whatever that case might be, to make sure that you are assured that every part and everything you need to be done is done. Because it would be incompetent to not approach this, and it would be incompetent to not hear what you have to say. So again, I appreciate your time, and I appreciate everybody's effort in wanting to care, but we do care, and we're not trying to exclude anybody. So I just want to make that clear. So I appreciate everybody's input.
Stay connected. Make sure you hit the subscribe button.